The night had been long and frustrating for Peter and his companions. Despite their expertise as fishermen, they had spent hours casting their nets into the dark waters of the Sea of Galilee, only to pull them back up empty, time and time again. As the first light of dawn began to break over the horizon, they were tired, discouraged, and no closer to a successful catch. Then, from the shore, they heard a voice calling out to them. "Friends, haven't you any fish?" the voice called. "No," they replied, their voices echoing across the still waters. "Throw your net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some," the voice instructed. Though they were wary and skeptical, they decided to give it one last try. They cast their net on the right side of the boat, and to their amazement, the net immediately began to fill with fish. It was as though the fish had been waiting just beneath the surface, ready to be caught. The catch was so abundant that they struggled to haul the net back into the boat. "It is the Lord," John exclaimed to Peter, his voice filled with wonder and awe. Filled with a mix of emotions, Peter hastily wrapped his outer garment around him and jumped into the water, eager to reach Jesus. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish. Breakfast with Jesus. When they reached the shore, they found Jesus waiting for them. He had already prepared a fire with fish and bread, and the aroma of the cooking fish filled the air. "Bring some of the fish you have just caught," Jesus said to them, his voice warm and inviting. Peter went aboard the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153 in total, but even with so many, the net was not torn. Jesus invited them to join him for breakfast, and they gathered around the fire, the warmth of the flames chasing away the chill of the early morning air. None of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was the third time Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was raised from the dead. "Feed my lambs," Jesus said, his voice filled with warmth and encouragement. Again Jesus asked, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter's heart ached as he remembered his 3 denials, and he felt a lump form in his throat. "Yes, Lord," Peter answered, his voice stronger this time, "you know that I love you." Jesus nodded, his eyes filled with love and forgiveness. "Take care of my sheep," Jesus said, his words a gentle reminder of the responsibility that Peter carried as a leader among the disciples. The third time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter's heart was heavy as he remembered his own weakness and failure, but he knew that Jesus was offering him a chance to make things right. "Lord, you know all things, you know that I love you," Peter replied, his voice filled with emotion. Jesus smiled, his eyes filled with love and compassion. "Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger you dressed yourself and went where you wanted, but when you are old you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, "Follow me." The disciple Jesus loved. Peter turned and saw that the disciple whom Jesus loved was following them. This was the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper and had said, "Lord, who is going to betray you?" When Peter saw him, he asked, "Lord, what about him?" Jesus smiled, his eyes filled with love and understanding. "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You must follow me," Jesus replied, his words a gentle reminder that each of them had their own path to follow. Because of this, the rumor spread among the believers that this disciple would not die. But Jesus did not say that he would not die, he only said, "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you?" Final words. This is the disciple who testifies to these things and who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true.